What you're seeing is your boy Tarek 7 Cuts, and today's video is going to be episode 3 of how to get started in barbering. And before I get started, I'm basically going to set and teach you guys the terminology of going against the grain and cutting with the grain. So basically, with a hair follicle is going to go in a direction, and usually it looks like this, right? And when you're going against the grain, it's basically when you cut against the direction of that hair, and when you go with the grain, it's cutting with the direction of the hair. For example, if I'm going to demonstrate on my wrist, right, if you look at the hair follicles, they're probably going in this direction, and if I want to go against the grain, I'm going to go against the direction of that hair growth, and if I want to go with the grain, I'm going to go with it. So these are the two things that you guys need to understand in terms of making sure your fade is crisp and making sure you cut evenly, because when you cut against the grain, you're going to cut more evenly compared to when you cut with the grain. And two is leather play, right? So I'm going to be doing a lot of leather play and detail work when I'm cutting hair. Leather play is going to be the second thing you guys really need to learn when it comes to making sure your fades are crisp and blurry, right? So when you set your guidelines, you're going to first be doing leather play between the 0 guideline and the open guideline, and everything between that is just going to be leather play. And this goes between all guards, so the 1 guard and the 1.5 guard. After that, it's just going to be lengths where you guys just cut. You don't have to worry about leather play after that. But then when it comes to actually fading and mastering a fade, it's really going to be a 0 and a 0.5. So once you set your bold line, right, I'm going to be demonstrating this in this video as well. So once you set your bold line, you want to flick it out, and then as you flick it out, you're going to bring the leather slightly down and then flick it out again, bring it slightly down and then flick it out. And then across the fade, it's not going to be as even. What you want to do when you come back to it is have the clippers open, slowly bring it in, flick it out. If the grain is still not cutting, bring it in a bit more, and then bring it in a bit more. That's how you make sure you match the hair to the length it's supposed to be to blend in correctly. So if you're coming back the second time, right, I'm going to explain this way better whilst I'm cutting hair, but if you're coming back the second time and it's not cutting with the leather open, bring it in a little bit. If it's still not cutting and it's still not looking like it's short enough to blend in on that section of the fade, bring it in a little bit and use the corners. So you're just slightly nipping away at that hair. And once that brings in correctly, the rest of the haircut's going to be crisp. Alright, cool. This is episode 3 of how to get started in barbering. And today we're about to do a mid-skin fade. And this is probably the second easiest haircut to do, but at the same time it's the most common haircut you guys can do. So when we're going to get started, I'm basically going to teach you guys how to do the most common haircut. And once you know the steps between this, you will know how to do every other haircut. So if you guys watched the previous video, you know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm setting the first guideline, and this is the bold line. And same as a high taper, you'll be setting the same guideline, but at the same time you're just going right behind the ear. The goal is that you set the bold line but then flick it out at the same time. To really get in your face nice and blurry, you don't want to be setting any harsh lines. Whilst I'm cutting the hair, I like to have a comb in the other hand just to keep a clean template, and I do this throughout the whole haircut. This helps me understand the direction of the hair growth and really going against the grain. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to leave the bold line here and start working on the fade on this side. So right now we're going to go ahead and set the second guideline, and this is going to be the 0.5. This is also where you just have the leather open. With this guideline, you want to cut about ½ an inch or 2 centimeters. I would also recommend flicking out at the top of the guideline, and this makes it easier to fade out later. Remember to take your time, practice makes perfect, and just work at your own pace really when it comes to cutting hair. A lot of the time, like anything else, working through these steps is easier said than done, but I'll just try to keep it as simple as possible and just show you the easiest guidelines you guys can use. One thing I do want to mention when cutting hair is just have confidence. This is the bit of advice I'd give to myself when I was starting up, is just having that confidence whilst cutting hair. Remember just to stick to your strategy and just stick to your steps. Now we've done our rough draft, we're going to go in with the second guideline, and this is the 1 guard closed. Again, you want to be cutting about ½ an inch or 2 centimeters. With the flick out motion, you want to imagine as if you're scooping the hair towards yourself. Right now I'm slightly tilting the clippers to cut against the grain of direction of the hair growth. This really helps bring in an even haircut. This is a straight curly hair type. Throughout this course, I'm really going to be looking at different hair types and demonstrating different hair types. But a lot of the time, all of these guidelines apply the same to every single hair type. I've opened leather and I'm just working my way back through that guideline that we just set. This just makes it easier for the third guideline to really blend in when it's set. Alright, so right now I'm going to blend out that first guideline. Just follow the steps. I'm doing exactly how I am flicking out in this video. Just go through that motion and just working at the hair. The best thing for you guys to do is use your corners and try to be against the grain as possible, and that will just bring in that even cut. Other than that, it's really easy. Just to bring in that fade. And here I'm just going to be doing a bit of that level play that I was on about earlier. I'm opening up the level and just slowly working its way down and really flicking out that bold line. I've got my brush in the other hand. I'm closing the level, going back at that bold line, just flicking out, and then I'll be slowly opening it up as I get higher across the fade. Guys, don't forget, whilst you're cutting hair like this, you want to step back, really look at the dark spots, and you kind of just see a good overview of where you need to work on the fade and where you don't need to work on the fade. Half of the time, if you're staring at the fade for too long, you won't really know where you're cutting, and you'll be pushing that fade too high. And this is the mistake that's really easily done in barbering. I've seen it done myself, where the fade is pushed too high and the blend is not came out the way you wanted it. Right now we're going in with a 1.5 guard close, and we're just going to debulk the top of that fade and just really sculpt it into the top of the hair. Just notice how I'm angling the clippers going against the grain. What you want to do is sculpt the hair and kind of just work from that second guideline. The goal here is basically just bringing in an even proportional, graduation from that fade to the top of the hair, and you just want to make it as simple as possible, really, and just flick out towards the top of that area. Now you kind of see the fade just really coming in slightly, like it's not perfect, but at the end of the day, you guys don't want to make a perfect blend straight away. What you want to do is kind of just bring in a rough draft, make the blend look decent, and then come back and do the detail work. If you're spending too much time on one side making it look crisp, you're going to find it really difficult trying to replicate on the other side. What you want to do is set your guidelines around the whole head, and just for demonstration purposes, I'm just showing one head just so I can keep this video nice and simple for you guys and not overcomplicate it. But usually I'll be going around the whole head and setting my guidelines first and working my way through that fade to the top of the hair. And this is something where you just want to come back later on and then do the detail work. And right now I'm just going back again with the with the trimmers, just taking out that bold line and just really bringing in that fade a bit more. And then I'll just do a little bit of more blending, but then after that I'll go around the whole head and bring in the best fade ever. I'm just going back in again with the one guard open and just cleaning up that blend just a slight bit more. And just like that, that's just the main guidelines done and blended. From here on now, you just might want to do a bit of scissor cut and debulking of the top of the hair, or just comb out and just do a bit more sculpting. And this is how it looks with the final look. I've worked around this whole fade and just really bring it into the top of the hair with the afro, and that's how the blend is looking. Once again with a before and after, but you guys just comment, like and subscribe, and just support the channel and just give me feedback in the comments.